Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Melissa. I am the owner and artist here at the Top Drawer RVA located in Richmond, Virginia. And this week's makeover is this beautiful little desk. It's not without its damages, but guess what I paid for this at my local auction? It was only $3. So let's flip this little $3 desk with a little bit of Dixie Belle paint. As always, I begin every project with a really great clean with white lightning, rinse with water, and remove the original hardware. Then we are ready to assess our piece and get ready for prep. As you can see, this little piece is a laminate style wood. Its color is black, but that's not paint, it's a laminate finish. This means I'm going to have to use an adhesion primer. I am going to use gray Bonding Boss to make sure that my paint will adhere well to this project, applying 2 even coats and waiting 24 hours before paint. Bonding Boss is not only an adhesion gripping primer, it's also a stain blocking primer. So it's really a 2-in-1, jack of all trades, get it done kind of a job. Once it's on, you wait your 24 hours before you begin to paint and you are good to go. I like to use a foam throwaway brush so that when I'm finished applying my color of Boss, whether it be gray, clear, or white, I can just throw it in the bin and not worry about washing it down the drain. You will also find that when you apply 2 even coats of Boss, your surface is super ready for paint. You're going to use less amounts of paint on your project because of that nice light base, especially if you're using bright and bold colors. Turns out the top of this piece actually was screwed in on the back, but it still moves a little bit. So when I finished applying my Bonding Boss, I came in with a little bit of wood glue just to adhere it down onto the top part of the desk. This will make sure that it stays solid and won't move at all if somebody is moving this piece of furniture. I really feel like it should be adhered all the way, so gluing it down is just kind of an extra step in my prep. So what is the color choice for this little piece? Well, we are going to go bold, we are going to go big, and we are going to go floral. Now here's the deal. The reason why I choose kind of a bold look is because this desk only cost me $3. So these little $3 or under $10 beauties are the ones that I tend to go the most wild on. Starting out with this beautiful color, this is from the Cottage collection from Dixie Belle. This color is called English Ivy. I really like it. It's really a popular color of green for me. It seems to sell fairly quick at the booth that I do sell my furniture items at. This is chalk mineral paint, so that means it is 0 VOCs. It's safe to use indoors and around your pets. Kids too. I like to apply my chalk mineral paint with a smooth synthetic brush. The brush that I'm using today is a flat medium. When you see me spraying my brush with water, all I'm doing is thinning the paint out a little bit. That's going to kind of minimize the brush strokes when it happens and allow me to get a nice smooth finish. This project will require 2 even coats of chalk mineral paint, so once I paint on that first coat, the front is actually pretty much dry, so I just continue painting on until I cover this little desk entirely. You also have the option to sand in between coats of paint. Using that small little burnishing pad will allow you to get a super smooth finish. Going in after that first coat is dry, giving it that slight sand, and then coming in for your second coat. You'll find that you're going to use a little bit more water in your spray misting bottle on the second coat. It just keeps the paint really fluid, nice and thin. I based this entire project around a Dixie Belle Bells and Whistles transfer. The transfer that I'm going to be applying to this piece is a little bold and I haven't used it before. So I really took a minute to look at the colors that are in the transfer and pick that bold English Ivy from one of the colors on the petals and leaves. Inside this Bells and Whistles transfer, you're going to find 4 sheets of images, as well as a small burnishing tool and an instruction sheet. These transfers are super simple to use. I don't want you to be afraid of trying them out. They go down really smooth like butter. The first thing I do when thinking about transfer application is to cut out the images that I'm going to use. Once I cut out the large images, I can kind of lay them down and plan my piece. If you're having trouble deciding where you want your transfer to go, you can tape them up with blue painter's tape or move them around and take some pictures. Sometimes it's helpful to sit down and take a picture of your piece of furniture with the taped on transfer. It will really allow you kind of the best direction to go with placement. So in this transfer package, there's two very large images. You can see me cutting out one here. They actually go together. So if you had a larger piece of furniture and you wanted to join those two images together, you totally could to make one seamless image. But this desk is not big enough to hold both of those images in one, so I'm going to decide to place top part of the transfer like above on the console, and then the bottom part of the transfer will go on the shelf on the base. These transfers are very simple to bend around edges and use the design as it kind of fits the furniture, but what I decided to do was cut off the excess that would come around the front where the drawers will sit. So I just used another piece of the transfer to line up and make a straight line and cut that off. This way when I apply my image, it's going to bend right around where I need it on the piece. I know that transfers are not for everybody, but I really like kind of the bold, unique flair that it gives a small item like this desk. And again, only being $3, I feel like anything that's under $10 or cheap, I just throw everything at it. The more the merrier for me. It's almost like a way to experiment for new looks and decide what kind of design choices you like. If you've never applied a transfer before, I like to start kind of on the edge and use the enclosed burnishing tool to really push down that edge and make sure it grabs where you want it. This way your transfer is not going to slip. If you felt like you were working on a vertical surface and you were worried about the transfer slipping, you can use blue painter's tape to hold it still while you get all of the edges burnished down onto your piece. After you remove that white backing paper and push your transfer down onto your piece of furniture or your craft item, it's very simple just to release the transfer from that plastic backing. You can see where the transfer is dark, that means it's not being released, versus on the sheet where it is light and you have released it. So go slow, use the small tool, push down all of the edges, make sure that they grab well. If you have to use your fingernail around the corners or around bendable edges, I do that too. Transfers do need to be sealed after you've finished applying them, whether or not you choose to use Dixie Belle's clear wax or one of their clear coats for your project. For this piece, I will be sealing the entire project in Dixie Belle's Satin clear coat. I'm also a big fan of cutting up lots of transfers. So you'll find me not just using the huge image that's in the package. I really like to make things custom. So cutting up all of the images and making it fit to what I want is kind of like a big design element that works for me. I'd rather it be a little bit different, a little bit interesting, rather than exactly what's coming out of the package. So I'm going to cut up all of these small little pieces and make the image on the top kind of flare out on the edges. Also, a handy dandy tip of the day is to keep those little small bits of transfers, because if you do make a mistake or you shift your transfer or an accident happens and you need to cover it up, you can use one of those small blooms to cover the area where that little mistake might be. I felt like this little piece needed a bit more of a flare. I decided to come in on the top drawer only and add blue painter's tape sealed with clear coat so that I could add a metallic over top. You don't have to use a clear coat to seal your tape, but I find that it gives you the most precise and perfect lines, especially when you're using a metallic paint. This is Gold Digger from the Moonshine Metallic line. It's a little bit thinner, and if the paint isn't pushed down into the edges, really lightly, it could get under that tape, and then you're going to lose your beautiful clean lines. You could also do this the same way with your original color, so you could have taken the English Ivy and sealed down those tape lines as well. I'm using a brand new brush. It might be one that you've not seen before from Dixie Belle. This is actually a kind of deluxe chip brush. It's a synthetic brush that is pretty much price comparable to a chip brush, which is amazing. And it helps because it's super smooth and it allows you to get the metallics down with zero streaks. Another helpful tip for you is to remove your tape when your paint is still wet. If you remove your tape when your paint is still wet, it just allows you to get a crisper line. Sometimes, like I said before, if your paint might have slipped under the tape edges or it didn't go down smoothly, your line might not be as smooth. It would be more jagged. So while your metallics are still wet, you can simply pull off that tape. as well around the holes where your hardware will go in. Sometimes the paint likes to pool up in those little holes and it might run if you don't catch it. If you are a creator and you're filming your furniture flips or you're filming your tutorials, FYI, people for some reason on the internet love to see a paint tape reveal. If you film this and put it on TikTok, it is going to go a little bit viral. It's always a winner. Don't ask me why. People just like to see the before and after. But that's also a handy tip for you creators out there. Now you just have to hang tight, wait for your paint to dry, and seal your projects. So I like to use a blue sponge that's been dampened with a little bit of water before I start in with my clear coat. Since this is a water-based clear coat, it just adds a little bit of smoothness to your application. I like to work in sections, making sure to get that clear coat on nice and smooth. I sealed this entire desk with Dixie Belle Satin clear coat. Since the hardware on this piece was actually in great shape, I just put it right back on and we are almost finished. I ended up clearing my space and thinking that this desk was done, but when I looked at it again, it needed one more thing. I felt like it was just a little bit naked, so I came in with my Best Dang Wax in black and accented all of the edges and all of the corners. I like to use my Easy Speasy spray wax to kind of like pull that wax back and just leave it in the depths of the edges. And then this little cutie was finished. What do you think of this bold green makeover? Can you believe that this desk was only $3 at my auction? I mean, really, who doesn't want to have a under $5 furniture flip? I really like this Timeless Petals transfer. I wasn't sure about it when I opened it up, but it was the perfect touch to my makeover. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.